Welcome back to Gridiron Grilling. Today we are going to smoke a bourbon and citrus glazed trout. That's what we're going to have for dinner tonight, and it's going to be spectacular. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. First of all, you have to excuse the background here. We're having some new backsplash and countertops put in. That is not a DIY dad project. Most important rule of DIY dad projects is know your limits, and tiling is outside my repertoire. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our marinade for our trout, and we're going to start out with 3/4 of a cup of hot water. And I like to use hot water because it makes all the stuff we're going to put in, the seasonings and so forth, it makes them dissolve easier. Okay, so we've got our water. To that we're going to add 1/4 of a cup of this Jack Daniel's Tennessee honey whiskey, and then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of kosher salt, a tablespoon of packed brown sugar, about a teaspoon, maybe half a teaspoon, I think, of black pepper, half a teaspoon of onion powder, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And then we're just going to whisk all that together and get it good and dissolved. And the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to pour this into a plastic bag, and like that. And I'm going to seal it up good. Leave just a little bit of corner open in this bag and just kind of press some of the air out. So it's good and sealed. And then what I'm going to do is I've got one of my brining buckets. We're going to actually marinate the trout in this a little later on, but I want this to cool off now. So I'm going to put it in. I've filled this brine bucket with ice water, and so I'm going to put it in here for about 15 minutes. Let the marinade cool off, and then we'll go to the next step and marinate our trout. So we're just going to set this in like that. And we'll be back in 15 minutes. Okay, we've let our marinade cool, and the next thing we're going to do is I've got about a pound's worth. I got two trout fillets, and they total about a pound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set those skin side down in our brining bucket here, and then I'm going to take our marinade. Actually, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shake it up a little bit just to kind of mix it up a little bit. I'm going to take it, I'm just going to pour it over our salmon, or excuse me, our trout. Just add just a little bit of water to it, like that. And then I'm going to put the cap down, make sure this thing is fully submerged. We're going to set this in the refrigerator for about an hour, and then we'll be ready to go on to the next step. So we'll see you in an hour. Alrighty, we're getting the grill set up at, we're going to cook this at 250 degrees. And what I've done is I put some cherry wood chips in a smoking box. You can also use big chunks, and I do that sometimes too, but this is how we're going to do it today. And I've been soaking those, so they're damp. We'll get some smoke going, and I'm going to put the heat deflectors in here We're going to cook over indirect heat. And while the grill's getting up to 250 degrees, we'll go prep the trout. I had taken the trout out of the marinade and kind of patted it dry with a paper towel. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some paprika and just lightly, just a light coat. And then we'll flip it over, although the other side still has the skin on it, but we'll do it anyway just to impart some flavor. And then we'll see you at the grill. All right, we're at 250 degrees. Got some smoke going here. I'm gonna take some cooking spray, hit the grates, and then I'm gonna put this skin side down. And I'm guessing this is going to take about 30 or 45 minutes to cook, so we'll come back and check it in a little bit. While our trout is smoking, we're going to make a glaze to brush on it. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with about 2 or 3 tablespoons of honey. Got about an ounce, or excuse me, a tablespoon of fresh squeezed orange juice. A pinch of thyme that's fresh from the garden, and the zest of the orange that we use to get the orange juice. And then we're going to go back to the Jack Daniels and put just a splash in. And we're going to mix that up real good. I'll show you what we're going to do with that next. We're about 5 degrees away from where we want to finish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that glaze that we made, and I'm just going to pour some on there and brush it. And then we're going to let it cook for another 5 minutes or so, kind of tack up, and then we'll be ready to go. All right, so we've sprinkled a little basil on there as well. We've got some grilled vegetables or roasted vegetables. Let's have a taste. That's good. That suits me just fine. You can really taste the citrus zest. Even Sutter wants a piece, but this is not for him. But I recommend you give this a try. It's fantastic. Be sure to smash that like button. We'll see you next time.